she was murdered, she turned up at her own funeral and went, surprise! It was 2004 in Melbourne, Australia. Noela Rukundo was a lovely woman and she certainly had her hands full with 5 kids. She was originally from Burundi in Africa, but she'd moved to Australia in search of her dream life. What she actually found was a living nightmare. Her husband was a man called Balenga Kalala, originally from the Congo, and she really thought that she'd met her dream guy. Everyone said how much of a great match they were. The pair had another 3 children, making the total 8. And they seemed very happy together. They were together for 10 years. That was until 2015 when Balenga all of a sudden just got paranoid that his wife was cheating. She wasn't. She was a very loyal woman, by the way, and she certainly had her hands full. Like, how would she even have time to cheat? In Noela's mind, things were ticking along nicely. She was living the life that she'd always wanted. She had this big family. Things were fine. Then she got a phone call. Noela's stepmom, the woman that she saw as her mother figure, had passed away. She was absolutely devastated and she knew she was going to have to make a big trip to fly home and to pay her respects. She travelled thousands of miles back to her hometown to attend the funeral, and it was a really, really tough day. She felt mentally and physically drained and exhausted. She got back to her hotel room and decided to speak with her husband on the phone, and she just told him what a difficult day it had been. He seemed really worried about her. He seemed concerned, and he was like, why don't you go outside the hotel and get some fresh air? He was like, it'll help you calm down, it'll give you a little bit of a breather. She had no idea this was part of his sick plan. She did as he said. She was thinking, oh, bless him, like, he just wants what's best for me. I'll go and do that. I'll see if it makes me feel any better. But when she got outside of the lobby, she was confronted by a man with a gun. And everything's running through her head at this point. She didn't know whether to run, scream, hide. And the gunman gritted his teeth and he said to her, don't scream. If you start screaming, I will shoot you. They're going to catch me, but you will already be dead. So she was like, at this point, what choice do I have? They don't really mess around with guns around there. What would you guys have done in that situation? Because I always preach don't go to the second location, but I suppose it is very, very different when you're in that situation. He forced her into a car where she was driven to a remote location and tied to a chair. And imagine Noela's surprise when she sat there, her whole life flashing before her eyes, and she heard a voice. It was her husband. He was on the phone to the hitmen, ordering them to kill her. She said, I felt like my head was going to blow up. And I feel like you would be, wouldn't you? Like your husband who you think loves you and he's plotted to kill you. The hitmen even started describing on the phone to him where they were going to abandon her body. And in that second, she was like, that's it, I'm dead. And she just passed out. A few minutes later, she woke back up and she was like, hang on, I'm not dead. And she was about to experience the plot twist of the century. The hitmen told her, we don't kill women or children. And she's like, pardon, you've held me at gunpoint, you've carted me here, like what the hell was the point in all of this? They said, we're going to extort your husband for more money. Truly like the most insane karma ever. The husband was sat at home rubbing his hands together thinking that they'd killed her. He was pretending to be a grieving husband, saying how she'd passed away on a horrific accident in Africa. He even arranged a funeral to keep up this facade, and he was lapping up not only the attention but also money that people were donating to him. They were giving him loads of money saying like, oh, it must be such a terrible time, here you go, this is for you and your family. So imagine his surprise at her own funeral when Noela walked through the door. She just strolled right into her own funeral service. The guests literally had their mouths hanging open. Balenga was absolutely stunned. He was like, what the hell? He couldn't really speak at first. He walked towards her slowly, like he was treading on broken glass. And she said, surprise, I'm alive. It was the sweetest revenge. He said, Noela, is that you? And then he started screaming, I'm sorry for everything. Noela called the police, they arrested him, and she passed a whole load of evidence onto police that the hitman had actually given her. They'd handed her a memory card with a bunch of recorded phone calls proving that he'd ordered the hit. He ended up admitting to police everything that he'd done. I mean, he was pretty much backed into a corner and he was given 9 years behind bars. But people still argue why he did it. Let me know what you guys think. He said he wanted to kill her because he was jealous because she thought she was going to leave him for another man, basically. She thinks that that's a lie. What do you guys think? For more cases like this, I post a brand new episode on my podcast, The Born Investigation, every single week.